fairly close. Not perfect, but once I make these things up, I did not bring clamps and stuff, but I put just a 1/4 inch of glue about here and here on that. So when I glue them, I put it on both sides. I see these guys on YouTube and stuff, they put glue on one side. This is my theory behind that. If I don't put it on both sides, how do I know it got there? So I put it on both sides. When I glue these things together, put them in the clamps, I put C clamps on. Each is square. Any questions on that? I use tight bind, just regular tight bind. If you use tight bind 3, it's waterproof. It oozes out as it over a period of time. I know you look at me like I'm crazy, but I made rolling pins for a while. And I made my rolling pins, got them all. I figured tight bind 3. It just makes sense to use waterproof glue. And then every time I rub my hand over it, 6 months later, you can feel that hump where the glue joint was at. The guy in the Winchester Club said, that's what you use. That's what happens. But try it sometime. Any questions on these? Anybody want to see them? When I glue the blocks up, I run through the joiner. After I get it glued up, I take a cut off all 4 sides. Feel that. You feel a little bit different. If you feel this, when you rub your hand out, you think you got one great big block in your hand. There's no bumps, no nothing. It don't make any difference with the joiner. Well, it may occasionally, but when I do that, I got it set to about just a very thin cut. But you got to remember when you do that, you got to take the cut off all 4 sides. You can't do 2 sides and not the other 2 sides. You have to do all 4 sides. Same number of passes. Because that keeps it perfectly square like it was when I started. I don't like chucks, so I don't use them. You don't have a joiner? I reckon you could. I don't see why you couldn't, but I've never tried that. I've never tried sanding. If you get them real close, you probably don't need to run it through the joiner. I just like to do that because when I put it together, when I reverse this thing, then I got straight pieces to put it together with. Perfect as I can get them. Yeah. No nails. Yeah. Do that. Got a center punch pin here. A center punch. Yeah. I'm not used to working away from home. The other thing on YouTube, see people putting these things together with hot glue and paper and all kinds of crap, and then they put tape on it. You can do all those things if you want to. I do not. Just like I said, I put that little bit of glue on each side. Yes. one right there, right around. No, one right, no, right back behind that one right there. That's what I'm going to be making. Something similar to that. It's going to look like this. Top and bottom will be different. Well, I made 35 of these things last year, and doing the way I do, I had one that broke on me. Right when I drove that in there. Don't ask me why one broke and the other 34 didn't. I have no idea. Other than I just didn't have a good glue joint. All right, when I lay these off, you know, I said I had the 1/4 inch of glue. I marked this because that's going to get cut off. Um, okay, once you get that mark, since this block is small, I'm allowing inch and a half. I used to. I got a stack of drawings when I had heart surgery. I couldn't do anything. I sat around and made a stack of sketches for ornaments, and I've yet to make one that matched the daggone sketch. So I quit making sketches. Now, if you want to make sketches, feel free to do so. I very seldom put anything on paper that I'm making. I remember years ago, my son was in the shop. He wasn't very big. He said, "What you gonna do?" I said, "I'm making a corner cover today." He said, "Where's your drawing at?" "Right here." I said, "There's only two things you need to know: how tall you want it and how much wall space you cover. Make the back fit the wall space. The rest of it's all 45 straight cuts and doors." I thought making a drawing was a waste of my time. Okay. I do this every I make these marks every time. I do that. Finished. Yeah. This is going to look like this when I get done, similar to this. Doesn't take very long to do it. It takes longer to prepare these things to make your blocks. You'll see when I start turning this thing, you do that cut, it's going to take me 10 minutes the most. Now I'll take more time to sand it the way I got it than to turn it. I see people on YouTube, well, how deep do I go? That's simple. I come in here all the time. This time right now. And I'll come in. I allow about an eighth of an inch from being centered. That's how deep you go. If you go deeper than that, then you don't have enough room on the outside to finish to match the inside. You can go deep. Look, when I do that, but when I sand, I start up with at least 100 grit. Depends on how rough it is or how rough I leave it. But I'll sand 100 grit down to 600. And I don't sand very long with 100 grit or any of it. I don't have to usually. The other thing I don't do is I don't use any. One, I've got one there that I. I usually run about 1,200 RPMs the whole time. I usually don't change it. That yellow stay back. This pine turns different from walnut. It's soft. And it'll tear out to where the walnut doesn't. I'd look to see what I did on the other one. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did that one. All right, that's about all I would do with this one right now. But that gives you an idea of what I'm doing. I sand this thing. I get it completely sanded. I don't do any sanding after I take it out of the lathe. It's done. I cut this off. And I put my finish on it. And I use salad oil finish. Gives it a good shine. You see, that's what I like on it. I don't like them dull. And those have, I don't know, 5-6 coats of paint on, a finish on the inside and the out. And once I take this apart, then I can put my finish on. And get it completely the way I want it, and put it back to the other side, but that's still. Take it up on my radio arm saw. They may not fall apart, but if you take a chisel right in the center and just tap it a little bit, and I say a quarter inch, quarter, 3/8, it don't make any difference. When you do it though, make sure you leave it as long as you can. Easy to turn the second turn. That big one there, I'm going to have a double one like that one back there. I'm going to have something. I've been doing some bigger ones with stained glass also. I should have bought pictures of that. I just didn't think about it. But there'll be another ornament inside that. Maybe this bottle. Once they get turned, they don't have to be a small, big ornament. It can be a small. You can put something inside of that. All right. Once I put the finish on, and I do it with an artist brush. I don't do it with spray or anything. Once I do it, I've got these things numbered. I should have told you that too. Before I take it out of the lathe, I numbered these things. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and back to 1. Now I know exactly how that thing goes. I was telling you I had heart surgery. I had about 10 of them laying on the workbench with finish on them. And if you think you put them back together, that numbers on them, the way they were turned the first time, you're fooling yourself. Just fooling yourself. You cannot, I can't do it. And you might get lucky on 10 of them and get 1 or 2 of them right, but you ain't gonna get all 10 of them right. Just ain't gonna happen. But you number before you take them apart, then I know exactly how. Even put 4 or 5 coats of finish on it takes me 3 or 4 days to do that because it takes a couple hours, 7 or 8 hours to dry in between coats. I usually leave it about 10 hours before I put the second coat on. Even then, you still can't remember it if you don't have them numbered. And I forgot to number them before, and I get them back together. They look all right, but they may not have been the way I turned them. Oh, all right. I turn on a small lathe. I say it's 36-inch lathe, but not a big lathe. Matter of fact, it's a Harbor Freight Special for $3.59. I don't have anything like this one. I know. Wait. That's like 20 years. By that time, I won't be here. Mhm. I will. I think I did. I will in just a minute. If I don't forget it. Chills down. I can't find it. That's nothing unusual for me. I'll find it. I'll just right now. I'm just trying to remember what I did with the one I had. No, I don't think. No, it's not in there. Anyway, that's another. I always have a dust collector running when I'm doing this. It's whatever you get used to using. And I've always had bad luck with gouging. I make a mistake 2 or 3 times on something. I find something I don't make mistakes with. try to get whatever I'm using to do this. I try to get rid of the excess wood as fast as possible. These things work. Spew works too. I had a 1/2 inch one. I don't know where I laid it. It's here somewhere. It works better than this 3/4. Which way to turn things. If you're standing where I'm sitting, you can see what I'm turning. You can see right through the hole. It's moving fast, but you can see. when you're making this cut down thin like that, I cut on the top. I'm like this. See on the, you know, if you quit like this, it ain't gonna work. You gotta cut on the top of that blade. See how my handle is? Ordinarily, I'd be down here, but to do this, this is where you gotta be. That's about as far as I go with this, because it's starting to splinter out. But that's what they make out of 80 grit sandpaper for, and your dowel rods. I don't recommend, once you turn it to this point, there are fingers on it. Because if it gets in that hole, it could be more than ooh. But if I wrap that sandpaper around this, and then I go in here and sand this. And I sand everything just with the dowel rod or with the sandpaper. And I'll tear this paper in two. And I hold it and get in here to sand. But I don't touch it with my hand. Even the inside piece, I don't touch with my hand. I'd sand it like this. Okay. Never. I have never dumb enough to stick my finger in there. I've done some stupid things in my time, but I haven't done that. Okay. I know a lot of people say you're supposed to use the backside of this thing. That's probably all right. That's the reason you put this point on it too. The way I go, I don't use the backside. Not very often. When I want this part right here a little bit thinner, I sand it. It's just, you try cutting it much more than that, and if you don't sand it, and you're going to end up with something that you don't want. Firewood. this lathe. Harbor Freight Special, 359. It's a variable speed. I don't spend a lot of money on tools. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm probably going to sand the rest of this. I got to sand this. When you get into this old pine, and this pine came out of an old barn up Middle County for it down. It's brittle. And in order to get that real smooth, I can't do it. And then I'll sand this to a point. I do a lot of sanding. And it doesn't take a lot either. If you start out with 100 grit or 80 grit, depends on how bad it is. Just when you get to this point, and I'm down to a quarter inch just about everywhere or less. You try to cut thinner than that, you're in trouble. Because it's going to fly apart on you. It does me anyway. Now maybe you can do it and I can't. But when you get down right in here, it's down to nothing, from nothing to a quarter inch. And if you want to make this thinner in here, you can. I'll show you how. Got to straighten it. Again, my son made me one for Christmas, and I said, Tim, you left it too heavy. He said, let me tell you something, old man. This is the third one. If you want it thinner, you turn it. But if you come in here, and I'm getting paper thin shavings off there, but you gotta cut on top of this thing. And it gives you a good smooth cut that way. But that again is down to quarter inch all the way around there, just about, give or take a little bit. Now this is heavier in here. I can make this lighter. More like that. Too hard on my ears. I'm not going to do that. All right. Is there any questions that I can answer? When you're blocked, when you turn your block first turn, I go with 1/8 of an inch from the center. Take this block right here. Set my calipers just like this. It'll show up better on this cherry. But I come in here just about like that. That's as deep as I go in the center. Right there. So it's gonna, that's what you're taking off. That much on each side. And this block here, since it's a short block, I'm going to go towards my cup. But once I lay this off, take my 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch here. That's close to center. I want room to work on both sides. So I'll make a cut like this. Something like that. And that gives me room then, after I do this, to come in here. At the same time, I got room to do something in here on both ends. Whatever you want to do. You can see what I did here on this side and this side. And you can do anything you want to, though. You see back there, some I did, some I just bought out smooth. But I find, I've seen people on YouTube, well, how deep do you go? That's what I found works for me. You can experiment with, you want to go a little deeper, but when you do that, you don't have as much room out here to work to make this part here. And looking at it here, I would have had to go like that. I could have went a little deeper if I wanted to. But that's what I do. Everybody has their own way of doing things. I always said once I mastered this, then I move on to something else. I don't feel I've mastered this yet. There's a few other things I can do. But I probably won't live long enough to do anything else. But I've got my drive pin marked, so I know where to put it back in the lathe when I take it out. If I want to do something, I usually do that, even though I think I'm finished. I mark it before I take it out. That way, if I look at it afterwards and I say, well, I'll do something else, I put it back in the same place as that, and everything will line up. But I'll take this thing home and sand it before I even take it out. I'll put it back in the lathe, sand it, then I'll take it out and put finish on it. A lot of people use eyelets to put it, hang them on. I drill a hole through it. I don't have to buy anything that way. I can take the drill bits. I've used the same drill bit for 10 years, and it still drills. And I stick my string through there, and I don't have. And the other thing is, once you get that thing turned to a point, you got to get a hole straight down in it. That's hard. It'd be hard for me anyway. So I just stick a hole through the side of there, put my string through it, and hang it that way. I make my own display racks. When I go to a show, everything on the table is made by me. Display racks, the ornaments. One thing I didn't make was the bronze brazing rods. That's what I use there. And you get that twist on with not have a kink. I take a piece of PVC pipe and drill a hole through it someplace the same diameter as that rod. Then I put a kink in it and wrap it. And I don't get any kinks in my rod. Same thing to make the bending jig. Well, I just use PVC pipe, but that's not hard to bend. Anything else I can tell you? I usually set the lathe at about 12, 1300 RPM, and I sand there. I don't change it. You can, though, if you run it up to 2000 RPMs, you get a little better. You may sand it a little faster. Like I say, though, I usually don't get too big a hurry. Just think, oh, I got to do it all. But sanding faster, I don't think does anything except make it a little bit faster sand. It don't give you anything.